The man with the big orange hands is back, this time with a microphone. After I turned the microphone out of the shot in the last two videos and forgot to turn it back, I'm now paying close attention every time. There it is, the thing that shines unnecessarily. I would have liked it in non-glowing, but it's only available in glowing. Diana is a... Yeah, there are different ones. Hello? Hello, by the way, because I know you can't see me properly, so I'm just saying hello while stepping into the shot. There are different ones of these. The model, 25, has been produced for, I don't know, about 1 billion years. So already in the early years, the main difference is that in the ER years, there was no prism rail for the dial tube, and there was also no front sight tunnel. The GR was still freestanding. The reticle that's on it was already on it when I bought it used. And that's why I'm leaving it on, because I like it pretty well. It's not perfect, because it's not a 10-meter scope. And that's why I'm leaving it on, because I like it pretty well. It's not perfect because it's not a 10-meter scope. You can, of course, take it off in the front, you know, the number. No, unscrew it, twist it, and so on. Maybe it can be replaced by something better someday, I don't know. Anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with the little thing at the moment. It's actually... So for what? You want to know the price first? I got it for $102 including the scope. If you consider that if you were to buy this scope separately, it would cost you between 50 to 70 for this tube. It's not that easy because most of the time you only get the thing as a bonus with some other rifles, so they can sell it as a combo. So in that sense, it was a bargain. And if they ever sell it again on Iber E-Gang, that goes for all the other guns too, not just Eagle. You won't get it from me for that price because, those are just lucky days that happen. If you get it that cheap or even cheaper, you really hit the jackpot. Yeah, that's just how it is. I always start with €1 because the way the final price settles itself automatically. Yeah, that's the... This was produced by... In this version, I don't know. This one, Diana conveniently stamps the production data. On the left back of the casing is from 1178. That means the good piece is just 22, 2 and 30, 5 and 30 years old. I have to say, I think that's totally fine. I chased the thing through this radar Coney. It came out to about 5 joules, roughly between 4.8 and 5.2, so an average of 5 joules. Muzzle velocity is around 150 ms-c. Yeah, that's pretty much irrelevant, to be honest. What's important is this here. Yeah, the Flinte hits pretty well for something that's got 35 years on it. Isn't a competition air rifle. What did I use? I think those Edel Diabolos, those expensive ones that were sorted individually, but I'm still shooting a few normal Diabolos through it, you know, the really cheap ones, and I'll make an extra video to prove that. Let's say if you're trying to get tenths, 2001 when it comes to tenths, it makes a difference. But as a home shooting setup, whether it's the fancy master pellets or the lead scrap that's left over from the powder mill. So yeah, we have another plain old knicker in front of us. But as a home shooting setup, whether it's the fancy master pellets or the lead scrap that's left over from the powder mill. So yeah, we have another plain old knicker in front of us. There's not much to say about break barrel rifles. Click? Yeah, that's just a click. 1000, it makes a click too. It's relatively small hole, isn't it? Well, you can tell there could be more meat on it. It balances out. I've got more meat on me. That has to do with when you look through old advertising brochures from the urn, and I did that. It always mentions something about youth rifles. Those were the times when any speed or energy restrictions were complete nonsense. Those were kids' rifles, or rather, for young people. At that time, there was also no talk of being 18 years old. At some point, it just happened like that. I don't know. It must have been in the in the 70s. There was the decree about everything being dangerous, madness, murder, manslaughter. Since then, we've dealt with the 7.5 joule limit. I don't think anyone has made this too harmless. A 35-year-old spring just doesn't hit as hard as it did on day 1. I'm not going to change anything because as long as they shoot like that, I don't care. Just a quick impression before I get into details. And I'm not going to change anything about it because as long as they shoot like that, really don't care. Just a quick impression before I get into a few details. My impression is that I wanted to have a break barrel that would stay with me permanently. And right now I have the Stoga RX-5, this thing here. And right now, if I had to decide on the spot, this one would stay. I'll take the other one in hand again, shoot around a bit, and then decide calmly. But overall, it's smaller than the Sturger, it has less power than the Sturger, but it's just so wonderfully uncomplicated. I'm going to take the other rifle in hand again, shoot around a bit, and then decide calmly. But overall, it's smaller than the Sturger, it has less power than the Sturger, but it's just so wonderfully uncomplicated. There's definitely no kind of automatic or any other safety feature. 2001 is a big plus. So after the first 1000 shots, you really don't want an automatic safety anymore because they're just so pointless and annoying. What you naturally notice, for example, there's no proper butt pad here. It's just wood with grooves in it. What was that button again? Oh, that's a storage button, so it doesn't slip when you lean it against the wall. You don't lean rifles against the wall, at least not without external supports, because they always tip over. Rifles have a tendency to tip over when you lean them against the wall, so don't lean it against the wall, put it on the stand. Or if there are somehow two little bumps that prevent it from tipping over, you can set it there. Well, at least here they've made sure that the stock doesn't just slide off the bottom, like putting wood on wood flooring or something. That usually goes wrong. What do we have? We've got sight from the good old days. I would say everything is still metal pinned and riveted, adjustable in height and side. What do you actually call this type of sight? I know the sight where you can adjust things, that's called a curve sight because you usually adjust it higher or lower over a metal curve. It's just screwable in all directions. The grip is tunneled, and now here it comes. I know I'm pointing the barrel of a shotgun at you again, but you're just a camera, not really here. There's actually still an old roof corn in there. So a pointed, not a square grip, but a pointed roof corn is still in there. There's another variant of this, which must be just after this one. I think it's in the catalog from 1979. Subsequent variant is already included. And it has a slightly angular front. So it's that kind of design from the 70s, you know, like you might expect. It probably also has a bar sight, meaning a rectangular grip. But I didn't check, didn't verify. And I also think the trigger guard has changed a bit. So we have a youth air rifle from the late 70s, and we have a hole in the trigger guard, which is mostly a good sign. And we have two screws right here. I hope I can show them to you now. You know, the monitor is down here, that's why I'm not looking at the camera. So those are two screws. As far as I know, I'm not completely sure, but as far as I know, only one of the two screws is there to adjust the trigger resistance. 2001 is just for countering, so to secure that first screw so it doesn't come loose from vibrations. So there are no highly complicated adjustment mechanisms for that. Definitely in this price range, an adjustable pressure point setting, already great. There's another variant, basically from the same corner, that has a high quality pressure point trigger. With this one, you can already feel it scratching a bit, but then it also comes in very nicely. I have to say, for a simple trigger, this is a really good simple trigger. With this one, you can definitely tell that it scratches a bit, but then it's also very pleasant. I have to say, for a simple trigger, this is a really good simple trigger, so you can't go wrong with a D. The trigger blade is made of metal, it's curved, so to speak. The trigger guard is actually made of metal. It's something you don't see that often anymore. Yeah, otherwise, used to be a cheap air rifle. And since I got it for little money, it really is a cheap air rifle, at least as far as I'm concerned. But it's fun. It's just a really straightforward break barrel. Break it, put in the Diabolo, bang, and it's gone. What more could you want? It makes holes, yeah. Due to age, the wear and tear of time, it doesn't have as much kick as it did when it was new. The F mark is on it, so you know it can't be from before 79. Having a date in the middle definitely helps with determining the age. And now, what else should I say? There's really not much to say about that. I'll take a look. So it always depends on what kind of good deals Egan has in store for me. I'll see if I can get a Diana 27. It's basically the same thing, but everything is somehow one size up. Bigger, the catalog says that the only difference is the pressure cylinder is a bit bigger. So that means there should be more kick in it. For me, it would be crucial if the piston were maybe a bit longer, but it wouldn't be crucial, to be honest. So I'll take a Diana 27 if it really makes sense price-wise. It's hard to top, you know. So I really don't know if this thing, including the scope, is supposed to fit under the press now. I just got lucky. Probably all the collectors already had it in Germany. That's just how it is. As I said, there are different variants, and it always depends on what's currently being offered. I really like that era, the one just after 1970, because back then there was still quality. What you get today under the name Diana is mostly the worst kind of Chinese junk. I do know that there are actually rifles, well, even today that are relatively modern, which were still made by Diana, personally. But unfortunately, they also cost a lot of money, and that's far beyond what I'm willing to spend on another air rifle. Yeah, I would say we can just leave it at that. That was a good buy, a really good buy. And I still don't know if I shouldn't just take off the front sight tunnel, which you can easily remove with just one screw. And the same goes for the sights, whether I should just take them off. Although the sight, I just noticed, is it pinned? Yeah, there's a bump in front. It's not a screw. Ah, here's a tiny little snap ring. So a little pin has to be removed somewhere. I'll just take a look. I always think that if you're going to put this thing on a stand somewhere, then having a bump at the front of the barrel is really helpful so it doesn't tip over. Yeah. I would say that's actually it again. That's my signature move, just messing around with any rifles. I'd like to thank you all once again for your angelic patience. And you can thank me for going through all this trouble. By the way, you can do that by, for example, clicking. Likes are really important. That's like the currency on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the whole channel if you want to go even further. But liking is definitely a really good start. So, thank you very much. And there he goes again. The man, once again. The man who can now turn off his camera. All by himself with the touchpad.